Well, welcome to another episode of Dentists, Implants, and Worms. We got a great podcast here. We got Greg Skinner, the inventor of the Adjusta-Tray, and Dr. Kristine Keber, maybe one of the bigger fans of the Adjusta-Tray. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Doc, tell us about yourself. Like, how did this all come about?
Well, like you, I am an entrepreneurial spirit.
I like that.
I started out wanting in 5th grade to be a heart surgeon because my mother had heart problems. And during that journey, when I went to college, I got a summer research fellowship at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill at the medical school, doing research with a doctor from Stanford University. And while I was back there that summer, I joined a softball team. And there were 3 guys from the dental school on the softball team. And they said, well, come on up and check out the school. You're here at the medical school. Just come on over. So I did one day. And then I started questioning whether I wanted to be a heart surgeon. Got back to BYU, took some pre-med. I was already in pre-med, so I took a pre-dent course. Started carving wax teeth. And fell in love with the idea of being a dentist. Well, from there, I became a trout farm biologist in Idaho for a year because I had applied to medical school and I got in, but I didn't want to be a doctor anymore. My wife was really mad. She said, I thought I married a doctor. Well, from there, I worked in Boise, Idaho with a guy that I knew when I was on a mission in Holland. He wanted me to join his business up at Zerker Merchandise. I don't know if you've heard of Zerkers, but I built his business and improved it a third, and for sure he wanted me as a partner. Well, I took the dental exam during that time, passed it with flying colors, and went back to BYU, did some more research. And at that point, I had decided I'd interview, and I got in.
Where'd you go to school at?
I went to University of Pacific.
Oh, UOP. Was it 3 years?
It was a 3-year program. We actually crammed 4 years in 3 because we got a lot of clinical, and we had a lot of outside clinics that we were able to go to, and I loved it. Dr. Degoni, who the school's named after, he was our dean the very first year that I was there, and so yeah, it just started a journey and a passion for me, and I haven't looked back.
Private practice most of the years?
Yes, I did work for a prosthodontist for 2 years down in Newport Beach. Once I sold my practice in Utah after I got divorced, I had to leave Utah. It was just too closed in for me. And so I went down to Southern California and joined up with this prosthodontist, and that was a finishing for me as far as removable, as far as implants. At the time, specialists were doing implants and we were doing the restorative. And so I got a real inside look at where dentistry was going at that point. And, and then I took a little hiatus from there and managed Dr. Goldoyan's practice, which was one of the largest HMO practices in Southern California. Built his practice to the point where we bought a practice across the street to put his private practice in, and then the rest of it was all of his HMO. And then from there, I built a practice for Dr. Cashman, and in 1 year we did $1.5 million.
What year is that?
That was 88, 89. And
that's a bigger number in 88, 89 than it is like, today someone says, yeah, we did $1 million in that practice, and you'd be like, oh, maybe, probably. Yeah, we're like, were you able to pay your bills, And then $1 million in 88, 89 would be like, you're doing okay.
You're rolling.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
Well, I was the restless spirit. I decided I'd go out on my own and went out to Hemet, California. And from there, I was there for 35 years.
Where's that at?
Well, it's between Palm Springs and Disneyland. It's north of San Diego, about an hour, and inland from Murrieta. We lived in Murrieta, and I had the practice there. It was a sleeper. When I got there, nobody was doing implant retained dentures. Nobody was doing overdentures on natural teeth. And once I did a few, the word got around. And aesthetic dentistry was a big one because people had come out from Orange County there are more banks per capita in Hemet, California than any other city in the United States. And I didn't know that until I did my demographics. And so it was a cash for service pay type practice, and we were doing large treatment plans, giving them 5% for cash up front. And
I want to go in your basement.
I just never looked.
Barrels full there.
I just never looked back. It was great.
Tell us about Adjusta-Tray
Okay.
and how that came to life.
Okay. Well, again, being an entrepreneurial spirit, I had already invented one product called Absorbants, which was a replacement for the cotton roll. It's peanut shaped, and it would fit under the frenum and under the tongue and stay in place. It wouldn't kick out like a cotton roll. So I was leaving them in during impressions. It would become an integral part of the impression. And once I had done that patent and knew kind of what I was doing, the next idea I wanted to tackle was my frustration with dental trays. I hated metal trays. My patients hated metal trays. They didn't fit. They were uncomfortable.
My tori actually is like tingling from the thought of my buddy Dustin like shoving that first one in as your freshman, taking your impression. You're like,
Yeah, and you can't bend them. Well, the plastic ones were short in the back, and when I was trying to take impressions, I noticed the anatomy was missing. So I thought, well, okay, I'm tired of adding wax to the back of these trays, and I'm tired of never having the right size of tray. I had a bunch of trays, but I'd ask my assistant to go get the one I wanted, and she'd come back with the wrong one, and then I'd get mad and go back in the lab and hunt for one myself. And anyway, because I had all these trays and didn't have the right one, I thought, there's got to be a better mousetrap than that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to design one, and I'm going to make it so that I've got an upper and a lower that I can adjust and bend and break off and make it extra long if I need the extra length to get the anatomy, and if I don't need it, I'll break it off. And that's how it started. And from there, I had to go. I thought I was done when I had the line drawings of this thing, because I took it to GC America, and they said, well, where's your prototype? And I said, what is a prototype? I've got the drawing. You guys make the prototypes. And they said, no, that's not how it works. And so I started this journey.
When was this?
This was, let's see, when was this? I've got to work backwards year-wise. It was probably about 1989. Yeah.
oh, this has been in the works for a while.
Well, it took me a year for a patent search, and it took me 2 years to get the first patent.
So you couldn't just go 3D print one like you're a prototype like
No.
call Russell Schaefer, say, hey, would you print this for?
No,
Fill out and print it.
my first mold for my prototype cost me $35,000,
Jesus Christ.
and I had to have
What?
And I had to have it out of heavy steel. I mean, they did do stereolithography, but they couldn't make me prototypes that I could test because I had to have the material. And so
You were into this.
yeah, so
You're
There's no
invested.
turning back at that
You're
point.
invested.
well, I was telling Dr. Moody that I was already making an offer on this Quiet Creek Inn up in Idlewild, California at the time. And I had my SolidWorks drawings at this point, having gone back and forth to Phoenix to draw these things every weekend with this engineer guy, and line by line. And from there, then I finally had prototypes we could test, and GC America said, well, finally, where you been for 5 years? So I said, let's test them. So it came out really positive, and they said, okay, well, we've got changes to make. The testing came back, there's some changes. So back to the drawing board. We finally made 2 8-cavity molds that were totally independently functioning with no sprue, that are cooled and heated, and I mean, it's a process to watch. Since you guys are so close, I'll take you up there. Anyway.
So your trays are made here.
Yeah, right here in Phoenix.
Where?
About 2 minutes from where you live. No, maybe a little further.
Oh, up in Scottsdale?
Yeah, just right up there. Just right
You
up
been there?
No, I have not been there yet.
You should go.
I'd love to show you. It's an amazing process. Anyway, when we finally got these products pressed out, I came over one week, and just watching that first few parts fall out of that mold, and looking at it and putting it together and going, that's exactly what I wanted, I cried. Literally cried.
Your vision came to life.
It was my
That's
vision,
beautiful.
and there it is. And I have not looked back. I've never used another dental tray except Adjusta-Tray in my life since then.
Yeah.
Well,
Did
hope
they-
not.
Yeah, well,
I mean, like you spend 35 grand on a damn mold, like.
well, to tell you the truth, those 2A cavity molds cost me $125,000 a piece, and that's where my offer on Quiet Creek Inn went south because I couldn't buy both. I had to do one of the other.
Do they make it the same way today as they did when they first started?
Yep. And now I have another tray that's going to be the complement to this and finish out the system, and that's the triple bite tray. And it's fully adjustable. I don't know if you know the problems with tri-trays, but if you've got a small mouth and you only have one size-fits-all tray, and you put that in a small mouth and they bite into it, everything compresses the plastic on the tray, and when they take it out, it expands. And if you have a large mouth, it pulls it out and then it retracts. So that's why a lot of times the bridges and stuff you're doing don't fit. The other problem with it is the mesh. The mesh, they bite into it, the cusp tips get flattened out when you pour it up. So that's why you have to adjust the occlusion on them all. Well, my tray, and I've used the prototypes on those, it has a thin layer of plastic for the mesh, but you don't bite through it. Remember in dental school how they taught you to have them bite into the wax and not all the way through it? So this, you have them bite into the heavy body before you get them numb, and then you prep your bridge or crowns or whatever you're doing, and then you line it with a light body so that they can find their bite again. But they don't bite all the way through it. They close it down on the articulator. And that way you could preserve the cusp tips, and those bridges fall into place with no occlusion adjustment.
No, this Adjusta-Triple tray.
Yeah, it's a tri-tray, I call it.
When's that due out?
Well, as soon as I get you guys on board to get me working on this other project we're talking about, then I'm ready to go. I wish I'd have done that one first.
Really?
Yeah, I wish I'd have done the
I'm
triple
glad.
Tray.
Yeah.
So does the prevalence of scanners kind of worry you?
I was just about to say, does digital dentistry, like,
Because I haven't used a triple tray in.
Triple tray. Yeah.
I mean, you're a Sarah guy. Like, I think the tri-tray has more of at risk to the dental world, the digital world.
Yeah, because
Then the full arch,
Even if
because-
you're not CEREC, I mean, everyone's scanning and just sending.
Well, I think you're a little short-sighted there. I have a little differing opinion on that one. You can do a lot of closed tray stuff and get the bite and everything at the same time. And you can also think in terms of who's using the scanners as opposed to who aren't. I still think there's about 60-70% of the dentists in the United States that don't use it or don't like it. And I have a market starting now the next few months in Africa.
I guess I don't think of the rest of the world.
And I've got a guy.
I didn't think of that.
I just got back from Birmingham, Alabama a couple of weeks ago. This attorney that I met with, had linked me up with Bobby Humphrey. Do you know Bobby Humphrey? He's a football player that played in the NFL. He started out in Alabama as a all-time, or what do they call
Bess
it?
Anderson knows him.
I'm sure.
Well, he played for Bear Bryant,
Yeah.
and he played for Denver Broncos and the Dolphins, and everybody down in the South knows Bobby Humphrey. If you look him up, he was an all-time.
And he's an attorney?
No, the attorney got me in touch with Bobby because Bobby wants to use our Adjusta-Tray for mouth guards for athletics.
Oh.
So we've got these prototype kits put together for Bobby to go out and meet with NFL, colleges, high schools, and get them using these custom fit mouth guards. We're calling it the Adjusta-Tray mouth guard so that it has that Adjusta-Tray in it with the impression material and so forth. But to get past that, the attorney is a registered foreign agent and works with ambassadors from Africa. And they're anxious to get something that's a better grade of dentistry than what they've got going there now. And they're looking at Adjusta-Tray.
Yeah.
And they want them.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, I think there's going to be a real need for the tri-tray wherever we take it. And, there's more dentists in Brazil than there are in the United States.
There are a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
Dr. Keber, how'd you run across the Adjusta-Tray?
It was a blessing. So my whole career from dental school beyond, I was making custom trays, for every denture case. And I had tried some other trays as well, but custom trays was just, the most predictable way to go. And then, we met up, and I learned of this tray not too long ago, really, maybe like
about a year.
A year and a half ago, maybe. Yeah. And Dr. Skinner was nice enough to come do a little lunch and learn and kind of demo the tray and show it to us, give us a presentation. And quite honestly, my first thought was like, dang it, why didn't I think of this? I do impressions every day. Like, this is amazing. So, he got us set up with a bunch of trays and we started using them. And I've only made maybe one custom tray since, and it was just because it was a patient with like a miniature mouth that needed a custom
You're
tray.
using these for final impressions.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. So
It not only bypasses the second appointment to get the patient back for that final impression, but it's more accurate, and it doesn't cost you $40 for the custom tray.
yeah, that's just a huge
Real
lab
s-
cost
real-
for
real
upper lower
savings.
custom trays. I think we maybe were paying $35, average cost.
Yeah, we were paying a lot of money for this, right?
But to get the right outcome, everyone's mouth is shaped so different. You really do want to take the best final impression and capture everything. And these trays were a game changer. I was just telling him that I spoke at Maxi Course.
Yeah, Frank Caputo's.
Yes, that was amazing. And Dr. Skinner was kind enough to ship some trays there for me because I speak about them whenever I lecture to kind of explain all my steps and stuff to the docs. And they loved them. And then we just caught up now, and he said he's pretty sure he's got some orders, that came through from those
We've
doctors.
been sending
And
out
you can still go digital. I mean, you take your
Yes.
impression, you scan the impression.
scan the impression. Do you know Dr. DeTola from Guidewell, and he went to Sarek?
Oh, Mike's toilet.
Yeah. Well, he's a really good friend of mine. He went to UOP. I became friends when he started ordering Adjusta-Trays when I was still in California. And I don't know how he found me, but in any event, he was ordering them by the case for his office there at Glidewell. And to this day, I've attended lectures where he still has slides of Adjusta-Tray and is recommending them. And he says, why the heck aren't you guys just taking the impression with Adjusta-Tray and scanning your impressions? It just makes sense. Well, then he goes to Sarek. So then I was kind of scared, and I met up with him again at a convention in Anaheim, and I said, well, do you still believe in Adjusta-Tray? And he says, yeah, absolutely. He says, scanners have limitations, and they do, especially when it comes to denture.
Yeah, I think that's...
Issue, yeah.
I think with the scanners, that's one of the common misconceptions with final impression is you still have to take an impression, right? The rest of the step can be digital, but you still need an impression, whether you kind of scan preliminary and you don't capture everything, and then the lab will make you, base plate wax room, and then you do a wash impression. Or for me, I just prefer to take my impression right away and just go through the steps. So you can't totally eliminate it, but you can make it a lot more digital.
I agree.
You still need the tray.
Yeah, at the Chicago meeting, I met up with a gal that I knew when I was working in California, and she's with a Reliable Dental Lab out of Mississippi. Actually, she's out of Las Vegas with the Boston Dental Group, BDG. They're the ones that bought my practice, and then they put me in Havasu when they needed me to resurrect their practice there. Well, in meeting up with her, she started arguing with me about this very thing. She says, well, what I do with all of my dentists, I have them scanned, we make them an occlusion rim, and then they take a wash impression and border mold that, and then my driver scans that. And I said, well, that's stupid. I said, you need the Adjusta-Tray, you need to take impressions, scan that, and then make the occlusion rim so that has the fit. Get the bite, set the teeth, do what you need to do. She says,
Yeah.
she says, what are you doing in August? She said, in the meantime, she's ordered a case of each tray of the trays. She's shown it to all of her dentists. I'm doing a lecture next week, like I'm doing here this week, down in Las Vegas for all these dentists and labs. And we've got a lab model with Adjusta-Tray, where the lab will use it to get their foot in the door with new customers or with their existing dentists. And then they'll say, okay, look, we can do it one of two ways. You can buy them from me as a lab, use the Adjusta-Tray, and I will give you a free tray for every impression I get with Adjusta-Tray, because it'll reduce our redos, and at the same time, they're getting the perfect impression.
It's a win-win.
And the other labs that I've worked with are giving them a trays. They're just saying, it's good enough for me. I'm going to buy them, and I'm going to have my dentist use these, and I'll just use them, for all the impressions. And it's been working great.
When did the trays actually hit the market? When were they available?
Well, they first came out with GC America.
Okay, 3.
And I think that was back in, I don't have the exact year, but we were doing gangbusters with those trays with GC America. I was actually, part of my contract, I was going to conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a little booth, and I'd try to drag the dentist in off the aisle. The only thing I had to do was say, Doc, I've got a fully adjustable impression tray I want to show you. And they'd come right back and order them. Well, the problem was that they were too popular, because they had people coming and sitting in seats, for a little lecture, so to speak, there at the booth. And they were doing MI paste, and they were doing a composite.
Oh, at GC.
Yeah, at GC at their booth. And so I was the third one. And I'd go up on there, and we had samples of Adjusta-Trays on the seats with a bottle of water. And everybody packed in every time I did the trays. And then we'd give them a convention special, and they'd be buying the trays. And then the Mrs. America would stand up and do MI paste, and everybody just kind of dissipate away. And they had this periodontist from New York. I'll never forget, nobody would attend his little thing. So we were doing every third one, and I had this little animated video that we put together for Adjusta-Tray. So it worked great until Kemp Fletcher, the president, was let go, and they brought in a Japanese president, and he totally had no vision on Adjusta-Tray. He had me stand down at the conventions where I wasn't even presenting. He wouldn't even have me come after a while. And then all of the reps that would come in and talk to me, or at least a couple of them would come in and talk in my office to me, and they told me that they weren't even having to put them in their sample bags anymore. So the handwriting was on the wall that I needed to take the product back or sue them for the breach of contract on their minimum.
I wonder, how do you get out of that?
Yeah, their pockets were deep.
You just grab your ball and walk away?
Well, I had to do a little more than that, but that's basically what I did. I gave them a choice. You either pay me on the minimum performance that we've got on contract, or I take it back. And so they signed a letter, and I took it back.
Do you self-distribute now, or?
Yeah, we're self-distributing. However, we have, since I've retired, so to speak, I'm still doing dentures with Adjusta-Tray. In fact, on my office, we have a one-chair office now. And it's specialty dentures studio, using Adjusta-Tray for the perfect impression on the signage. But I have contracts now with Severe Dent. They put it on Dentura. I've got it in Practicon, and there's a few small distributors that are not competing with Severe Dent that I've got them with. And then this lab out of Mississippi, she's going to be marketing them. And
I think that's why I had never known they existed. You know what I mean? Because typically the office I've worked at and both nonprofits always just, Henry Schein ordering from there. And
well, they were in there.
Oh, they were?
Yeah, they were with Schein and with Patterson through GC. They had them in all of the catalogs.
Maybe
Was it marketed as a GC tray, or was it?
Yeah, it was co-Adjusta-Tray. They were putting co on it.
So,
Interesting.
Keber,
Yes.
if you were to, is there anything about the tray you would like to change? Is it perfect the way it is, or do we need to modify this yet again?
He's like, closes yours. I would say, of course, I'm always honest. The upper tray is perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. It works for nearly every case, like I said, except that like 0.1% where the patient's mouth is really small. Usually a wider arch, it still works fine. Because the cool thing about the tray is not only is it breakable to adjust the length, right, in the flange area, but you can also adjust the width of it, right, small to extra large. So you can kind of cover all the widths of the maxilla. I don't know exactly how I would change the lower one a little bit, but I find sometimes even when I break the pieces off, just depending on the shape of the mandible, it's still like hitting and rubbing the bone or mucosa or something, that I never experienced that on the upper. But I don't know if that's like fixable. I think that's just, dealing with just everyone's variety of mandible.
I'm not going to say it's operator error.
I wasn't going to say it either.
That's where I thought it was going, so it's going to be great. But
I find when I'm doing the impressions with the lower that a lot of times I will bend the back of it up rather than breaking it off, and I will follow the pear-shaped pad. But sometimes I kind of know, or I don't know when to break it off and when I bend it up. So I will actually redo an impression once in a while on the lower. It doesn't get back far enough.
And then you modify.
And then I break it off, and then I modify it. Or what I'll do is I'll take the putty impression, and then I'll see part of the tray showing through, and I'll see part of the tray on the inside. Anytime I see tray, I take my lab burr and I grind that along with my lab knife and trim it. I try to get a custom tray where the borders are thin and where the tray's not showing through. But I know what you mean. Even though these get wider, which is nice for edentulous ridges, that was one of the problems I had with conventional trays. They didn't get wide enough. I had to melt and bend them.
Yes.
Do they lock, when you expand them, do they lock?
Yeah, there's a lock to it.
Okay.
And if you undershoot or overshoot, you just take your stuff out and put it to the size you need, snap it together, and use it again. And the material locks it together, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
well, we thank you for the support for the clinic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I am pretty positive that nobody in this country makes more overdentures than Dr. Keber.
Yeah.
We
Starting to get the hang of it.
Yeah, I think I got it down.
we
I love it.
I have
generate a few of them for her on a daily basis.
I have the highest respect for Dr. Keber, and I was just kidding, when I said
I know you were.
I feel a little guilty about that, and anyway, the bottom line is that no matter how perfect you think something is, there probably is always something you can do better. Mm-hmm. But this is the best I found, and I have not, since I got the Adjusta-Tray in my hands years ago and started using them, I took all of my trays, I bagged them up, I threw them away, and I haven't gone back. And that is my testimonial to it.
No, it's funny. You would think, like, after all these years of doing all these dentures and overdentures, that taking a beautiful impression in one of these trays wouldn't light me up. And even my assistants that I work with, we love it. We get so excited. We're like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. You hear that suction. But yeah, the trays are game changer. I truly can't believe that I worked so long without them and didn't know they were out there. So thank you.
I appreciate that.
Well, I need you to help Steve and I overhaul that denture section, or the overdenture section of the fast tracks and the affordable fast tracks as well. And then we should highlight those trays within it.
For sure.
It's only for edentulous arches, though.
No, it's for everything.
It would take a regular.
Oh, absolutely. There isn't an impression that you can think of that you wouldn't use Adjusta-Tray for, and some of the configurations, like for crown and bridge. When I do a large bridge, even with my scanner, there are times where I can't get a proper fit, and I know it's because of the scanner, not because I'm not doing it right, but because there are limitations with the way that you have to get around all those corners and the size.
If it's the most posterior part,
So I take an impression for those large cases, and even with a large implant case. Even if I'm not doing an overdenture, I will, for a large area, I will take an impression. And I like the open tray kind of concept too. You can look through the tray, you can see where those abutments are. You grind your hole and take a putty and then you wash it, and then you get such a perfect, especially where there's like maybe some subgingival margins, or where you might be getting a little bit of bleeding. Mm-hmm. It's perfect for that. So yes, I don't think it's just for edentulous.
Yeah. I can still remember in my residency, where I was at, every kind of what helped me fall in love with dentures, but every Tuesday was denture day, and obviously didn't know about these trays yet, right? And we also were trying not to make custom trays at the time. So we'd use like regular stock trays, and then we'd have all this show through, and we would grind the heck out of it and make a big mess. And then do a wash, and it works, but you spend so much chair time, adjusting things.
It's just money. Chair time is money.
So this is...
You'll also notice, too, I was going to mention, and you might know this, too, that the upper doesn't have the big hump in the middle. And the reason I did that is because so many times people have lost enough bone that, or they may have a torus in there, but if they've got just a very thin ridge or a very short ridge, very flat, that gets in the way. And so I'm glad that we don't have that in there. If you have a height vault there, you can even put a little ball of wax there that pushes it up. But the flatter impression, take the sides or the sides of it off, and then use your putty for that, and you get a perfect impression.
And one cool little trick about the Adjusta-Tray, what I've learned, when you're evaluating the tray size, it comes in two pieces, right? So I'll usually try on my left side just singly to test my length and what pieces I need to break off. What I find is if I see that I have deep vestibular depth and I don't need to break those pieces off, usually the case is under reduced, because it should be. It's just this,
It's kind of like an early sign for you.
Yes. Doesn't happen often, but I notice that, and I kind of teach the docs that, because I'm like, if you are going to use these trays and you're doing the surgery and you're restoring your cases and you're finding you never need to break these trays, like, that's a little bit of a red flag.
Oh, that's
good.
Well, Doc, this has been a great pod. It's actually full of content. It's generally not our style.
It's unlike us.
Yeah, it's kind of unlike us, but it's really
like dental.
I know.
I feel like I have to apologize.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine.
And no eating of sweat.
Can we talk about wine for a minute?
Oh, I know it.
How about tunnels?
Where can our listeners find your trays?
Adjusta-Tray.com is our website, and they
Seem right.
They can. Well, it depends. Are we talking about people that are associated with Severident or?
No. We have our listeners, all the above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the best place if you want to go order that through Adjusta-Tray.com. We are connected to where they can pay with their credit card, and we get them shipped out to them.
Perfect. Well, Doc, thanks for being on the podcast. Dr. Keber, always a pleasure to have you on the pod. And Randy.
I thought you were going to say something nice about me.
Well,
Not this time.
Not this time. Yes, sir.
it's day 2 of Voices. I mean, you went out a turn. Generally,
Here we go.
Generally, you look like this on day 1 of Voices.
Yeah. Day 1 was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Done a little blurry last night. I was trying to keep the residents in line,
Yeah, I know. You got to keep them in line.
or show them how it's done. One of the two.
Yeah.
Depends
Well-
how you look at it.
Yeah. Well, from Dentist Implants and Worms, we'll catch you on the next episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you all.